Everyone is angry in the AFL media world, from one of the biggest names in the trade period to one of the most senior journalists. There are once again spot fires everywhere. Besides that, senior coaches have been back in the spotlight as well, and one in particular raised eyebrows with his new roles and responsibilities, which seem to impact most parts of his club. But to start, there must be nothing more annoying than trying to go on holiday in peace after a long season, only to be doorstopped and ask questions. That is what Clayton Oliver faced after a brutal day. At a special meeting with Demon Hierarchy and new coach Stephen King, Oliver's new role was outlined, and it was one moving away from his primary inside midfield role he's had for his whole career. Tom Morris reported, "Melbourne has told Clayton Oliver today they can't guarantee him a spot in the senior team in 2026 and would be happy to facilitate a fair trade if he can find a new home. If not, VFL football beckons." Morris further went on to say Oliver was frustrated at the situation, and Channel 7 reporter Mitch Cleary said the meeting got even heated and lasted just 12 minutes. In response, Oliver uploaded this photo to Instagram, which is him in a KC Demons Guernsey, saying, "Actually doesn't look bad on me." The same day, Oliver was scheduled to go to Sydney for a holiday, and this is where he truly let his anger out. I'm sure he was rapt when he saw Mitch Cleary's face alongside a cameraman to get some footage after the bad news. Oliver didn't hold back and definitely didn't stop to answer any questions. As Cleary tried to talk to Oliver, he said, "Honestly, bleep off. I don't know how many times I've got to say it, mate," he said with a smile. "I'm going to Sydney on a holiday, and then I'm going to America. Got nothing to do with anything." Oliver further went on to have a small interaction with the cameraman at the airport bag drop, lining up more expletives and letting his true feelings out about Cleary. A couple days after this, it was a journalist who was upset with a player. Caroline Wilson dropped this article on The Age, giving her reaction to Geelong's Mad Monday, in which she was a feature as Max Holmes dressed up as her. Although that wasn't the main issue of the day, it was mainly to do with these posts by Bailey Smith, in which Wilson was mentioned in. Like with all things, some did find it funny and light-hearted, while others thought it was distasteful and rude. Wilson was with the latter. She said, "Smith offended the gay community, briefly dragging down one of the game's most respected leaders, the unwitting Dangerfield. He once again offended women across the industry and beyond by targeting me with a disgusting social media post. And the post was only taken down after my female colleague Jackie Reid complained to the club. Now whether you like the post or not, I think most people can agree that Smith didn't have to post them at all and could have just put his phone away and enjoyed the day without posting. If he did that, none of this would have happened, and the Mad Monday tradition would probably still be allowed in 2026. Wilson also made it clear she did not know Holmes was going dressed up as her, despite that being falsely reported. On a personal note, I probably wouldn't have had a major problem with Max Holmes dressing up as me, even though it would have been nice to have given the heads up as we had spoken during the previous week. After the event, he has been in touch twice and did apologise if he had given offence. But it was Smith who Wilson featured the most in her article. A couple more things raised eyebrows. After explaining that Smith had been unreachable at times in 2025, Wilson wrote, "Maybe it is because Smith has been occasionally unreachable, but where the AFL is concerned, he remains untouchable. The AFL too is deeply worried about Smith and at a loss on how to move forward. It is extraordinary when you consider he publicly joked about celebrating post-grand final with nose beers, prompting a home visit from Andrew Dillon." Wilson even mentioned that behind the scenes of the All-Australian night, where Smith was publicly lauded for revealing he had spent time in a psych ward at the end of 2024, but on the same night he had not worn the correct shoes before he went on stage to receive his Coaches Association award, so he had to wear Geelong CEO Steve Hocking's boots. Wilson writes, "He said untruthfully that D'Orazio, his manager, was meant to supply his shoes that night. Chris Scott and Hocking just shook their heads. It is one thing for a player of Smith's age and status to struggle to wear the correct shoes, quite another to blame his manager." Wilson fairly enough wasn't happy with the Mad Monday post, but she really went to task here, challenging Smith's behaviour in 2025. I have a feeling this won't be the last time the two butt heads in the media world. Another event of note was at Collingwood's Best and Fairest, mostly to do with some comments from senior coach Craig McRae. We all know Nick Dacos came second in the Brownlow for a second straight season, and McRae took a small shot at the medal's winner in Matt Rowell. Up on stage he said, maybe a few more 16 disposal games might get you there next year. Now I'm sure this wasn't directed at Rowell himself, but more with the voting of the umpires, as Rowell did get fortunate, especially in the early rounds, with a few 3-vote games. Still, the comment an hour later looked really bad. This was because Dacos didn't even win the Collingwood Best and Fairest. It was ruckman Darcy Cameron who took home his first Copeland medal, beating Dacos by 13 votes. So to call out the AFL's major award, yet rate Cameron's season as better than Dacos's, was interesting by McRae, who surely would have known the Best and Fairest results before saying what he did. Now St Kilda have made the big moves in this free agency and trade period, but behind the scenes someone was given a lot of power. Ross Lyon has the nickname Ross the Boss for a reason. With Dave Mission leaving the football club as director of football, the important position is now empty. The decision was made to give the role to the senior coach. Tom Morris reported, Ross Lyon has assumed acting head of football duties at St Kilda, in addition to being the senior coach. With Dave Mission exiting, Lyon will have oversight on coaching, recruiting, list management and high performance and pre-season planning. Ross the Boss. I'm sure the Saints will find someone as soon as possible to fill the crucial void, but for now, Lyon has full reins of the football program, not only with what is going on the field. It seems the Saints' current list strategy and aggressive player recruiting can be pointed towards Lyon himself, who is now in charge of these areas of the club. But for now, no major reports have been aired of a possible replacement for Mission, so the direction of the club is in their senior coach's hands. Surely he couldn't keep the head of football role and coach the team in 2026. And to finish off, don't think Essendon players were the only staff members from the club who either are or got injured during the difficult 2025 season that led to a record amount of first-time players putting on the Essendon Guernsey. If we have a look at Brad Scott's speech at the Best and Fairest, we can all see his arm is in a sling. Right at the start of his address to the crowd, he said, "The irony isn't lost on me, this is the year of injuries for the Bombers. You know you have had bad luck when even the senior coach ends the season with a surgery."